Man, you never know when we're going live, but here we go. What time is it? 11 on a Wednesday. You just never know, baby. Welcome back to the GASO cast. Michael Timmons, Lyndon Cook here to recap a huge spring championships weekend. Before we start, sponsor of the GASO cast today is Clutch Shots AI. This episode is brought to you by Clutch Shots AI, the first ever smart highlight creator. Whether you're an athlete, proud parent, coach, or organization, Clutch Shots AI makes creating pro-quality sports highlights fast, easy, and unforgettable. With cutting-edge AI, you can capture, reframe, and share your best moments in seconds, all optimized for social media. Say goodbye to hours of editing and hello to instant eye-catching highlights. Ready to elevate your game? Download the Clutch Shots AI app today and revolutionize your highlights with a 2-week free trial. Honestly, I can sit here and talk basketball with my eyes closed, but reading something word for word, Lyndon, is terrifying. I'm not a huge book reader, but that was tough. Anyways,
Do you do the LeBron thing where you're already always on page one of whatever book you're on?
I'm diving in. Like they're like, oh, he's about to dive into
aesthetic.
a big time book. It's serious. I'm a podcast listener, so I'm doing my ears, not much reading. Before we start today's episode, housekeeping. I always like to start with your side of things. The GASO Fast Break newsletter. It's elite. I mean, it's probably the most elite thing we do with GASO, and that's saying a lot because we really be cranking out content. What are some of the topics or some of the accolades we'll be posting this week that I haven't sent to you yet that you're asking for?
Yeah, I'm waiting. It's going to be the all tournament teams that we always do. 26s, next gens, even some unsigned seniors that got to it. Weekend MVPs, some next gen standouts, some write ups from that, and our stock riser report, and then obviously. As commitments come flying in for this 2025 class, as guys are being added to rosters, it seems like left and right. It's like we had like 20 commitments last week alone. We're also keeping up with that across the state, whether it's El Paso, South Texas, Greater Houston, DFW, wherever you're at, we're covering you and seeing where you're at the going to at the next level.
I don't know about you, but like a lot of my friends are like, at least y'all get a week off, like after like a long GASO. But what people don't realize is that like it's Wednesday and we're not even halfway done with finalizing all the content for our last event, and then we turn around. And here we go. We're heading to San Antonio May 9th. That's your next opportunity for the experience. You see what we post. It's undeniable content coverage. And we're taking that down to San Antonio May 9th through 11th. The team list is already really popping. There's shoe teams down there that are going to be playing. I'm excited. And it's another chance for that debut we always talk about on here that we'll preview next week. Like, who's going to make their GASO debut? Because there's always guys in our TBR, which is loaded with players, that we're like, I'm excited to see them. So San Antonio, we're coming down there excited. I know they didn't. A lot of San Antonio teams didn't come up to Austin for our tip-off because they're down there for some Final Four events. So exciting time to get down there. And then live periods incoming. The biggest live period event in Texas, easily, is coming. So for those coaches that have signed up, if you're playing in the NBA division, make sure and get your gold license. Because it's a very it's a process for sure, but we're excited about that. That team list is really, really popping right now. One of our favorite weekends. So that's going to be here the following week. So we get a little bit of a weekend off. Kentucky Derby. There's some boxing for me. Playoff basketball. Stars are still in it. And that leads me to this segment that you and I will only do when it's just you and I. When Mass and Blue aren't on here, because who knows what they'll say about this. But what's on your mind? You got a rant or anything you're thinking of, like right now, non-grassroots? What's going on with you?
Yeah, no, as a Mavs fan in Exodus right now, or at least in we're taking a break. We'll call it that. We'll see if we get back together. But watching that I think that the clearest thing for me watching that Wolves Lakers series is that I think Anthony Edwards has really arrived. Like people crowned him a little bit too early last year during that series. Because Luka obviously was the dude in that series, but now watching how he's leveled up and how he's making plays down the stretch and just dominating games, being on the same floor as one of the top two players ever. I'm not going to give LeBron the crown just yet. And Luka, it's very clear that Anthony Edwards is very, very soon going to be the face of the league.
So when we talk about that series, I know JJ Redick's somewhat of a savant. Like he did that show with LeBron, and he was really, really good at it. But you can't leave Luka out there for the whole second half.
Yeah.
I mean, I get like some of those starters, but like, I mean, you had your boy Nico over there like shaking his head like, yeah, see, I told y'all down the stretch when he couldn't guard anybody.
You got to get him out, give him a 2-minute break, get him a cigarette. He'll be okay.
And so yeah. The only thing that's on my mind is I hate watching the Eastern Conference basketball. Like it's so boring.
Oh, it's bad. It's
like
bad.
Jason Tatum went crazy yesterday to close out that series. I didn't see anything about it. Like I'm tired of the Indiana Milwaukee game series. I'm just tired of the East. There's just nothing that I want to watch over there.
The good series that's happening is Detroit and New York, and that's like an early 2000s. Okay, let's just ISO it. Let's play games in the 90s, and
yeah,
it's hard to watch. It's entertaining, but it's hard to watch at the same time.
Shout out Cade Cunningham. As much as like obviously he's a Texas kid, it's just weird because he went to Montverde, and so like we didn't get to see him play his senior season. But you forget like he's Texas through and through, so he's putting on a huge performance. Also one of those guys. Yeah, facts.
AAC.
Facts. That was a big time GASO that he was at. All right, let's get to it. Appreciate y'all. I'm over here acting like it's the Club 520 podcast with Jeff Teague. Let's get to the grassroots stuff. Championship shout-outs. Why did these teams win? We had 4 NBA brackets. I'll start with mine because in our preview show I said this team has the makeup to win a championship, and they did. Second to none, Adidas Gold. Exactly what I said. You have to have toughness, and you have to have dudes that can go make plays. And they played that loaded AB elite squad. I don't care if those were a 15U squad. Those are all high-level varsity guys that know how to rise to the occasion. Yeah. So for second and none to get that done, you have to be physical too. Josh Rice and Christian Cox were in attack mode. Justin Femme was one of those guys all weekend long. You and I would talk. Every time the ball was up, he hit shots. So shout out to that team. We could have easily put them in the showcase division because we know they can play with anybody in the state. But they went and played bracket and just handled business just like I thought they had a chance to. What was another team that won a bracket that you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's go ahead and keep the train rolling with Triumph Rise 2026. Another really good team that would have given a very good game to a lot of those showcase pool teams. But they're just they're really gelled this weekend. They have size with Jalen Jackson. They have scoring on the wing with Isaiah Fleming, with Braden Givens, Dyson Riley. Like they just made a very complete weekend. And even though the championship game that they played, they won in a lopsided way. But when they had to play, when their back was kind of against the wall throughout the weekend, they would just go on a run and take care of the game. Was really impressed with them. And Jalen Jackson is a guy who a lot of coaches need to have on their radars in this 25 class.
Absolutely. How about that SBA 2026 team? Came down from Kansas, got to see them early. And when I looked at them, I was like, okay, they have positional size, and you can tell they just know how to play basketball. And like the way they were cutting, the spacing on the floor, I was like, oh, they're going to give everybody problems this weekend. It wasn't like super athletic. It wasn't super sexy. But I was like, oh, no, they're going to just sit here and execute and just give teams hell all weekend long. They crashed the glass, all their guards. I mean, it's the Midwest thing. Them boys was in the weight room up there, physical, all rebounding, all doing the right things that ended up getting them to a championship game where Boston Eckhart, game winner in OT, bracket play to try to get them advancing. Yeah. So they didn't just cruise; they had to win big games. But like you saw, like down the stretch, getting all the way to that championship game and then winning it. Cannon McElroy in that championship game was big time. So it was great to see, especially a team coming down from Kansas, because you never know. They could easily go 0-3, or they could just be better than everybody and not have any competition. So they worked their way through the bracket, got it done. So shout out to them.
Yeah,
And then,
and our last team that we need to talk about that won a bracket is a 3D Empire 17U. I mean, we've talked about a lot of these dudes on this show before. Nixon Warren, another kid in the 25 that needs to be on radars. Chaz Brown, D'Armondre Beatty were big throughout the end. And then Jackson Kinzig, a kid who popped at King of the Court, comes in, goes 3 for 3 from three in a big time. That was a feisty game. There was a lot of emotion, a lot of runs with them in MOGP in that championship game. But he goes 3 for 3 off the bench from three. To be able to kind of lift them, very balanced, but they run such good stuff. They always just out execute teams, especially the later in the weekend it gets on. It feels like where they're able to, how many times Sean says whip or calls his actions throughout the weekend. We need to have a over 200 times line on it because they just really know their stuff and execute it, and that's what got them this championship.
yeah, shout out to the 3D Empire just as a stable in general. It doesn't matter if you're Pro 16's team. When you play the right way, you're going to have opportunities to win and be relevant. That's why we're sitting here talking about their non-pro NXT Pro 16 team right now winning the championship. And they was over there playing the championship, I believe, at the same time that their Pro 16U was giving AB Elite everything they can handle on the other court. So, once again, you know what 3D is about. They sit here and get it done. I'm on a 5-hour energy, no food right now. I was getting ready for my Kentucky Derby prep, so it's hitting me now. So let's get into a segment that's gonna kind of turn me up, and these were undeniable dudes. Who was a player that was loud, like literally every time even if you just peeked over there, out of the corner of your eye, you're like, oh, there goes that dude. Who was that? Who was somebody for you? And obviously, this name right here, yeah, duh.
Okay. So I'm going to preface this by saying if I know that I'm about to drop a bar and just have a really good take, I'm going to start it and just completely look away and talk because that's what Jacoby Loving, shout out to you, man, because that pass in overtime for that game winner, oh my God, throws it from here and ends up making eye contact with, I can't remember if it was OA or Caton's camera or if it was your camera.
It was me.
Yeah, your camera about 270 degrees behind him was crazy. What a dime. And it's not just that he's doing that. His passing is, I'm going to call him the best passer in this class because he puts the most flair. He makes passes at angles that you just don't see. But he can also score. He had 26 against Legends in a game that we'll talk about. Yeah, here we go. Eye contact.
Let me see. I mean, who knows what my reception is here? I'm only on AT&T Air. I don't even have AT&T Fiber, but you can get.
I mean, what can you say about that, man? That's just every time he took the court, he was loud, and it's not just him; it's the rest of that team too, with Ballard and Evans and Lewis. They really, gave a lot of people a lot of problems throughout the weekend. But shout out to Jacoby because man, that highlight alone would get me to talk about him on the GASO cast. But then to back it up with 3 strong games. I mean, come on now. He's an obvious choice for one of the top performers of the weekend.
I mean, even in that game, it was the the long pull up midi from the short corner in overtime when most teams try to get a 3 in overtime or just an easy 2. He was like, I'm going to do neither. I'm going to hit the toughest shot on the court right now to get a start in overtime. For me, it got to the point I wasn't even tired, but I would just watch Legends EYBL 16U and just keep being like, they're really good. And my post on X, that's all I'd say. Literally, I didn't have anything cool to say. I was like, this team's just really good. And Jock Mitchell, all weekend long, I'm like, oh, that's different. It didn't matter if it was above the rim, the quick twitch, the hezzy we posted. You're like putting dudes in a blender.
Yeah.
I mean, he led that stable this week, and they are a very, very high-level team that are going to go to the second session of EYBL and really make some noise, in my opinion. But yeah, just his versatility, his playmaking, and he was, probably the most athletic dude in the gym. Just I mean, his dunks were unbelievable. So yeah, undeniable dude. Who's your next one?
We got to talk about this kid as a major stock riser off of this weekend, and that's Mason Thomas for 3D Empire. Um, you know, we've discussed him a lot because his, you know, ability to give you that production at 6'5", 6'6" as an offensive rebounder, as somebody you can play through in the high post, um, has made him very, very notable in this class so far. But then when you add that 3-point shot, and he was knocking it down consistently this weekend, that's when a lot of things open up for when we're talking about potential, who's going to come in and try to get this kid at the next level. That was my biggest takeaway from the weekend, was that if Mason Thomas turns into, we love him defensively, we love him as a rebounder, we love his production, but when he shows out that he can shoot the ball at a high clip from behind the arc, I mean, that's just going to open more doorways for him to get to the next level and produce for them at a high level. So I really liked what I saw from him this weekend, and that whole 3D17s group. There's a lot of talent there, but he was the one for me this weekend that stood out with that addition to his game.
Yeah, I'll finish this segment up with Caleb Jackson of Upside Athletics. This is almost like exactly what this team needed. A bigger guard that's capable of being the dude as well. Obviously, I love me some Levi Moore, 2028 point guard. But Caleb, it was funny. I was standing next to a college coach, which we had double-digit college coaches in the gym this weekend. So always pay attention. You never know where they're at, but they were all around. D2s, D3s, NAIAs, JUCOs were all in there for sure. But I was standing next to a college coach, and he dunked it right away. And he's like, oh, because I was like, hey, go look at this kid. And right away, he did his thing. So, yeah, Caleb Jackson, 3-level scorer, played above the rim, great positional size. Every time I was watching him all weekend, he was doing his thing. Lyndon, did I lose you? Did I lose you, Lyndon? Okay, so I'm used to this because I do the acting bad broadcast. I do the kicking the courts. I'm used to talking alone. Lyndon's going to hop in and hop back out. Our next segment, though, is our favorite games. There was a ton to pick through, and what I want to discuss with Lyndon before he hops back on was the fact that with bracket play, you can feel like the energy of games. So carry on without me, he said. But yeah, with bracket play, you have an element of just like it just feels more serious every time you advance to the round. And for that game, for me, Jamal Shed versus AB Elite. And I remember I told Sam, the owner of GASO, I'm like, hey, next time, let's look at where some of these teams are playing. And we had Jamal Shed versus AB Elite on green 3. And that green 3 side is a little darker if y'all are familiar with Duncanville Fieldhouse. But it's in green 3 back there. But the crowd is electric. It was a back and forth game. AB Elite was always up while I was watching, about 8 to 10 points, but it just felt like Jamal Shed was right there all game long, back and forth, high level performances. What's up, Lennon?
Hey, welcome back to me.
I'm talking about the Jamal Shed AB Elite on green 3, on how it's dark
time.
over there, but it's very intimate. And the crowd was there the whole time, rocking. Even AB Elite's older team was over there watching. Fans were involved. And while it was between 6 to 10 point game, most of the game, it felt like it was just back and forth. So I was saying that was one of my favorite games. So
yeah, for sure.
What was one of yours? This is one we kind of hinted at earlier, but it did its thing.
Yeah, obviously the AB Elite versus 3D Elite 16U. This game was probably the highlight of Sunday because it had that intensity baked into it. AB Elite shows up on Sunday and makes quick work of game 1, and then game 2, they go up 7-0, and we're thinking, we want to see a good game where both teams are pushed. And then all of a sudden, Bryant Robinson and Brandon Lohman just hit 3 threes apiece, and all of a sudden they're in the lead the rest of the half, and we got a great game going on. Very, very big time performance from them, especially Brandon Lohman hitting shots from the volleyball line was just dialed. And Bryant Robinson, he had 33 earlier in the weekend, but this game he also showed up, and his defense especially is starting to really take off. And he's going to be highly recruitable in this 27 class. But with AB Elite, you got to talk about, first and foremost, Beckham Black and his vision. I mean, he's just finding guys in premium scoring positions all over the place. I mean, whether he's, it's so hard to speed him up. It's so hard to make him take bad shots. I mean, he was just super productive. Braden Williams out of Boswell, really liked what I saw from him as a scorer. Kellen Cantrell kind of breaks the game open in the second half by just, saying, get me the ball, because he obviously found rhythm and was knocking down shots.
What was that, 3 in a row or 4 in a row?
I believe it was 3 in a row, but I know he hit 4 in like a 4-minute span.
Okay, because right before that, I'd went over and I was like, I don't think he's hit a shot yet. And maybe I said it too loud because literally right after that, right to it, bam, 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 bam. Yeah. And he's kind of like that. He's the rah-rah guy they need also. He's not a rah-rah guy that's just going to bark just to bark. Like, he's going to bark and he's going to bite. And I respect that a lot. Shout out to Ryan Masters, Highland Park Scots.
Yeah, and then the last piece that I need to talk about for this AB Elite team, and that's Xander Brzezinski, because he was locked in this weekend. I mean, when you talk about a guy who can protect the rim, who can rebound and outlet at a high level, and then once he gets the ball in that 5 to 6 foot area around the rim, he's going to the free throw line at the worst. Like, that's worst case scenario. He's going to the free throw line. He's so, just physical and rugged as a scorer. He's got good footwork. You can't speed him up like to make a decision or panic, even with a double team. Like, he just makes the right play. And I really enjoyed what I saw from just his mentality and focus and what he brought to the table on the inside for this AB Elite team.
Yeah, for me, my other favorite game was Elevate U versus Anthony Edwards, Texas, which is formerly Flash Elite. And these are two teams that we reward because, one, they're shoe team killers. Flash Elite last year, that's all they did was be shoe teams. And then Elevate U this year, they want to smoke with all shoe teams. So you match these two teams up together, and you're like, this is interesting because both teams kind of have this confidence to them and this swag that they walk into the court and they have this little like, oh, people know about us and, they don't want to play us. Well, both these two teams are the exact same in that sense. Nobody wants to play Jacoby Lovings. Nobody wants to play Josh Weems. And now you have them go head-to-head, and it was fireworks all the way down to the end, and Anthony Edwards gets the win. But, I mean, that's what these type of matchups are about. Just high-level plays. It doesn't matter what your team name is. Like, these dudes will go out and play anybody in the country. And it was great to see both of them play each other. And even after the game, the Elevate staff was like, hey, I'm not going to lie, we're not used to losing, so we're pissed. But it's the same thing. It was a back-and-forth game, high-level guards, high-level players making plays. And, yeah, one of my favorite games of the weekend. Finishes off with a game that was really good Saturday.
Yeah, and talked about my game of the day on Sunday. This is the game of the day on Saturday. It's again at the 16U level because our field for 16U, especially in that showcase pool, was crazy this weekend. But Dallas Mustangs, Texas Impact, not just featuring 2027s because you have two kids that are going to figure into that top 5, top 3 maybe argument in the 2028 classes playing up. With Xavier Young and Red Jackson. I mean, there's just so much talent on the floor when these two teams step up. And Romeo Waits out of Byron Nelson for Impact. This guy made a statement. I mean, aggressive rips to the rim, but then would pull up before help could arrive, hit that little teardrop, hit that little floater from that 6 to 8 foot range. And was just doing that so consistently. It wasn't like just one of those fluke things. Like, you could see this is something he's in the lab working on a daily basis, and he delivered that against the length that Mustangs has on the interior. That's very, very promising to see for that young man's development. And then obviously Xavier Young, anytime he catches the ball, when it's drop step range, he is trying to put guys in the rim, which is one of the best attributes you can have with that physicality, with that frame. Only being a freshman right now, he's still got a little bit less than a month left in his freshman year. That guy was all over the place. But then we talk about Mustangs, and I mean, Amarion Hunter, so smooth, such an easy scorer. James McCall Spears, there is such a good
yeah
in there. I'm telling you, the further we go in this class, the further he develops his body, his footwork, his shooting touch. I mean, his upside is up there with anybody in this 27 class because he is that skilled. The footwork's that good. He's physical, and he's starting to, the motor is catching up to his skill set, and that's my biggest, bit of praise I can give him this weekend because he's very skilled, but the rest of it's starting to fall into place. Jackson Thomas out of Red Oak, kid that I didn't know much about coming into this weekend, but then stepped up in a huge way for them, especially down the stretch with some big buckets. Cohen Finley being the glue guy that just kind of holds everything together, flying around, was elite in transition, but also as a defender for them. And then another guy, we talked about, Terrell Jackson, his ability to score on the inside, but Caden Eason had him a big weekend as well, where he was showing that like long wing, I'm going to go, attack the rim and finish above it kind of thing, where, there's a lot of names that we need to know on this 2027 Mustangs roster, but he's one to file away for the future because his best basketball is in front of him.
Yeah, when we talk about the Dallas Mustangs team, there's a reason why they are so successful. You obviously talk about Amarion, McCall Spears, AJ Burdine, but then they have dudes that you just named that I'm going to give these media people an assignment. When you go to these events and see these good teams, those role players, and they're stars, they're studs. But like for being a non-EYBL or Adidas, whatever it is, like to win games like that for Dallas Mustangs, like you have to have those guys that are like, I don't care if you don't think my name's that big, I'm going to come out here and do my dang thing. And down the stretch, it wasn't the big three for the Dallas Mustangs that were getting it done. It was the names you mentioned. Jackson Thomas, like the spin move finish right there.
Oh yeah.
And Eason, like they were like down the stretch. It was like, okay, like we want this more than y'all do. And you need that kind of team to really like be for real. And the Mustangs are for real. So shout out to them. Shout out to that Texas Impact program too, top to bottom. They're always one of my favorite. The way they roster build and the way they develop high level stuff there. All right.
Rodney Wagner as well for their 16s. Shot the lights out this weekend. Really liked the shot from him.
He sure did. All right. What time is it? 11:30. All right, let's make this rapid fire. I don't know what time some of y'all take y'all's lunch breaks or whatever, but I need to. Like I said, I'm on a 5-hour energy with no food, and that's a dangerous game. So rapid fire, we'll try. We like to not just write a million people on a list and post it on Twitter and say these are top performers. We like to shots fired. We like to put a little bit of like letting you know why that person's a top performer. But this is going to be a rapid fire. He's been really good this weekend. And usually what ends up happening is we'll be sitting there watching a game and a kid will do a move and we'll kind of look at each other. And whoever's seen him more has been like, yeah, he's been really good this weekend, exactly like that. So who's one of those guys for you? And we'll just go back and forth, Lyndon, on this list.
Yeah, let's go to the Legends 17s with Frank Belibi out of Colorado Prep. So physical, such like his tools for the next level with that physicality, that length, and his ability to just have that quick first step downhill, strength and power at the rim as a finisher, can also hit some shots. Really stood out to me as a big part of a successful weekend for that crew.
Yeah, Justin Fem, second to none. I don't think they win this weekend a championship. They're not holding one of our GASO championship banners up without his shooting. And then the one thing I remember watching, every time he would shoot, he was going in. But then I'd look at him and I'd be like, okay, he's also 6'1", 6'2", with a frame on him. So I'm like, he's not just some small shooter out there spacing the floor. He gets in the lane. He's physical. He'll stop and shoot through the mid-range. I like it because he'll put his shoulder down, but he's not over-aggressive, and he can stop on a dime and hit a jump shot. and he didn't miss too many this weekend. So shout out to you. Who's your next one? I like this name. If you go by the
Yeah,
list,
yeah. Alex Jacob, YGC, Austin 17s. I mean, in game one, when I was watching them for a little bit, he was shooting it from three. In game two, he was on the rim. I mean, his versatility is just what is going to make him into a highly recruitable kid in this 26 class, because he's got the physical tools. I love his speed in the open court. But his ability to shoot, his ability to get downhill, his ability to be a good passer in late game situations, that all three of those traits stood out to me this weekend.
shout out to the 300 people watching us right now. Y'all could be doing anything else. Y'all are with us. Thanks for rocking with us. AKA Shock SPC. I mean, this kid. If we did our Celsius guy, it's him. Just explosive. Downhill. His layup package is insane. His shooting. And then I was filming him, and then I put the camera down, and it was like 30, 45 seconds left. And he goes up and just dunks it. I'm like, wait a second, kid. I'm taller than you. You shouldn't have balance like that, but he does. I'm an explosive player on a very loaded SPC team that we continue to love to come to GASO's over and over again, because each event it's going to be somebody different we're talking about, and that's the true recipe for a really, really good team.
Yeah. The two from Coos, because I got to shout out both of them with Brody Thornton, his production, his ability to just show that defensive, the multiple positional, he can play and guard, and it was just a nightmare on the inside. And then Autrell Manning, the hero ending is very interesting, and like seeing somebody who's probably never played in the hero ending before just take to it like a fish to water and realize, okay, our target scores 3 points away. A layup really doesn't do us anything. Dribble it out off a steal at half court. He's the first person to cross half court. He's like, no, we're going for the win. Pulls up, hits that. We got a really cool clip of it. Shout out Cadeson and OA for that film work. But yeah, pulls it out, hits the game winner against Impact in overtime for Coos, and a really fun weekend for that group.
Yeah, David Blount Jr., Jamal Shed Elite. 6'7", 6'8". His ability to just knock down shots in big moments too was really, especially like in that AB Elite game. He wanted the moment every single weekend. When we talk about our list and stock riser list, he'll be on that in the newsletter as well for me, just because with that size, with that frame, with that mentality to like want to make big plays. I'm very, very excited to see him do his thing this weekend. Who's your final one?
We're gonna wrap up with Josiah Ankra from Southmore with Southern Assault Metro. First game of the weekend. Had a mix up on clock and book, so I'm over there running things on Blue Court 1.
Real quick, do you feel like the delegation of, do you feel like you should be going to do clock and book, or should Sean? Because you've been with GASO for what, 10 years now? Yeah. Do you think that
I enjoy it? Like it's one of those things. Like I'd be doing, like if I was still coaching, I'd still be doing this at like a JV girls tournament over Christmas break or something like that. So good is what it is. But yeah, Josiah, his ability to just hit shots. I mean, obviously we talk about Trey Hall on that team. He had 27 in that game, including a big time dunk to start things. But Josiah was one of those kind of, maybe under the radar kids who had a really big weekend. And now, going forward, it's going to be whenever we see Southern Assault Metro's name come across the desk, we're going to be like, okay, this kid can play too. Like there's not just, we know he's Trey's a top 75 kid in the 2026 class, but this is a 2027 from Oklahoma that's turned our heads in the GASO office.
For sure. And I'll finish up here. Keon Williams, Texas Impact AE. What I love about Keon is he does a great job on social media of getting his clips and showing us like his recap from the Baller TV feed or whatever that may be. But it was good to see him live and in action doing the moves that I see on stream, because it's a little more clear with my 2020 vision. But his pace, he's just one of those true shooting guards. But he continues to add more off the dribble. And I like the shooting guards that add off the dribble but still get to their shots, and he did that at a high level. So, yeah, Keon was was really, really good this weekend. So that'll wrap up GASO Cast. Shout out to, what are we at, 320? Appreciate y'all rocking with us. And once again, we're not even close to being done with coverage from the spring championships. That's what the GASO experience is about. Shout out, look for the newsletter this week, coming out Thursday or Friday. Blue and Mass would be doing a cup of hoops. And listen, if you want to be a part of this wave, we'll be in San Antonio next weekend. So sign up, hit up Blues or Tucci to get in. I think we have less than 20 spots left, and those are going to go fast because I know his phone's ringing. And then, the GASO experience continues to roll. And we'll be back next week to preview that San Antonio event. And until next time, Michael Timmons, Leonard Cook, peace.